I'll yield back to the chair.
Next up, Representative Carter, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank all of you for being here, the witnesses for being here. Look, as much as my colleagues on the other side of the aisle don't want to admit it or don't like it, we have to admit that fossil fuels, that natural gas and oil are going to be part of our portfolio for a long time. I mean, let's face it, we know that a great percentage of our energy portfolio today is fossil fuels, and that didn't happen overnight. It's not going to change overnight, no matter how hard we want it to do that or how badly we want to do that. But I have to tell you that I'm encouraged by the progress that the oil and gas industry, the fossil fuel industry, if you will, has made in decreasing emissions. I had a group in my office just earlier this week, a group of 6 oil companies that are doing business up in Canada, and they have a desire, they have a goal of being being carbon neutral by 2050. Even with the fossil fuels, and I applaud them for that. I think that's great, and I think that we don't give enough credit to the fossil fuel and the oil and gas industry for the progress that they've made in decreasing emissions, and a lot of that has to do with the policies. Just last week, we had the governor of Wyoming before this committee, and he was telling us how he has directed the state to pursue a goal of net negative carbon dioxide emissions and continue to use fossil fuels. So, you know, it's going to be part of our future. I understand that, and technology is going to play a big part of that as well. But I want to pivot just a little bit, because we all know that that climate change and that this is a global problem. And we would be remiss, and we are being remiss, by not thinking about third world countries and about up-and-coming countries, developing countries, because they are using fossil fuels, and they're going to. Yeah, they do their best to use renewable energy and clean energy, but they are going to use whatever they have to in order to get their economies going and to have electricity, these developing and growing nations. Just an example, Indian government's own future fuel mix, their modeling shows that they will overwhelmingly depend on fossil fuels, even though they're going to have a rapid rise in renewable energy as well. Nigeria's vice president put it this way, and I quote, "No country in the world has been able to industrialize using renewable energy, yet developing countries are being expected to do so when everybody else in the world knows that we need gas-powered industries for business." So it's just part of it. Dr. Alden, I wanted to ask you, my question for you is this: doesn't that mean that it's extremely important to continue to invest, to explore, and to innovate in technologies like Long Path has, so that we can reduce these emissions while still providing reliable energy?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that, looking at the global stage, as I mentioned, there are, satellites can kind of go everywhere all the time, or a lot of the time, and at least see the very, very large emissions that might be happening in other countries. But I think there's a lot of potential for exporting the technologies that have been developed here in the US, like Long Path and the aerial surveys, all the different, there's a whole host of new tech here that's kind of ready to go abroad as well. So I think that there's a great opportunity for the investments that have been made in US innovation to be exported overseas and try to solve that problem. And also I think that, the other pathway is just, we've got the technology here, let's implement it and prove that via measurement that US gas is clean, and then we can even export that gas. So
let me ask you this real quick. I'm running out of time here. What about regulations? Wouldn't improving regulations to encourage more widespread adoption of technologies like we see at Long Path, wouldn't that contribute to the potential for job creation in these areas?
Absolutely. So making sure the new rules that come online here are recognizing new technologies and creating a direct on-ramp for new technologies is going to be hugely important to kind of stimulate that innovation in in the technology sector and get the folks, on the ground to want to use it. So,
Well,
yeah.
and just let me say that I've always said, in order to address this situation, we're going to have adaptation, mitigation, and innovation. And I truly believe that the greatest innovators, the greatest scientists are right here in the United States of America, and we should be encouraging that. Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'll yield back.
Next, Representative Bonamici.